Hi friends, if you like my videos, subscribe my channel and also press the bell icon for the latest updates. Thank you. So in this video let us discuss about human digestive system. And normally human digestive system, and normally in this video I am going to explain you brief explanation on this topic along with the diagrams and along with the body parts which involved in this human digestive system, and I hope there will be no other video like this in the total YouTube. So here this human digestive system includes parts called gastrointestinal tract, which is also called as digestive tract, and the other name of this tract is intestinal tract also, and liver, pancreas and gallbladder. So these are the parts which involves in this human digestive system, and normally this liver and pancreas plays a major role in the secretion of enzymes as well as the fluids which are responsible for the digestion of the food which is present in the intestine. And next, this gastrointestinal tract, discussing about this gastrointestinal tract or digestive tract, it is a long twisting tube called tube, and normally this tube begins from the mouth and ends towards the anus. So between the mouth and anus there will be many body parts which are responsible for this digestion. So the parts are esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, colon, rectum. So between this mouth and anus, which begins with the mouth and ends with the anus, these are the parts which are mainly responsible for the digestion process. And in all of these parts, brief explanation on all of these parts will be given later. So now let us discuss about the just introduction of this human digestive system so that you can easily understand. Next, small intestine. Discussing about the small intestine, it is a long coiled tube which begins from the stomach and ends towards the anus, and the size remains up to 20 feet. And next, only the adult, I am saying in the adult, okay. And normally this absorption of nutrients will be taken only place in the 90%, and remaining 10% of the digestion takes place in the large intestine. And here if you see, this small intestine will be lined with velvety tissue. So due to this lining we can divide this small intestine into three major parts. They are duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Coming to the large intestine, the size of this large intestine is 5 feet and 3 inches in diameter if you see in the case of adult. And normally this large intestine, this is very much important to remember, colon. Here this large intestine consists of colon, and what is the main function of that colon? It helps in the absorption of water from the waste. I have said you that here 90% of the absorption takes place, and here remaining 10% of the absorption takes place. And after the 90% of the absorption, the waste material will be produced out, and that waste material will be sent towards the large intestine, I mean towards the colon. And then remaining 10% of the absorption takes place. And what is the 10% of absorption takes place? That's nothing but water absorption. And when this water will get absorbed from the waste, then then the remaining part which will be left over are called as stools, or it is also called as fecal matter, and that fecal matter will be sent out through anus. So this is the just introduction part of the human digestive system. And here one of the important thing which you have to remember is microbiome. Here this microbiome is also called as gut flora, and this is a bacteria or as a microorganism which plays a major role in the digestion. This microorganism plays a major role in the digestion, and it is present or else it will get regulated from the gastrointestinal tract. And next, discussing about the microvilli. Microvilli is very important to remember here, because this microvilli plays a major role in the absorption of nutrients which are present in the food, right? And these microvilli are also called as intestinal villi. So these microvilli are finger-like projections which can be seen only with the help of a microscope, okay. And normally this microvilli will be present in the lumen of the small intestine, okay. Normally the size of this microvilli ranges from 0.5 millimeters to 1.6 millimeters, and this microvilli helps in increasing the internal surface area, which helps in the absorption process. Normally, for example, if you take food through the mouth which are rich in calcium proteins, and that food will enter into the stomach, and from the stomach it enters into the small intestine, right? And within the small intestine this microvilli will be present. So what does this microvilli will do? This microvilli will help in the absorption of nutrients. So what is the nutrient which is present in that food? Calcium, right? So it absorbs that calcium nutrients, and it will be sent through the throughout the body with the help of the blood stream. So by this you can understand this microvilli will get connected towards the blood vessels. So when this microvilli will get connected towards the blood vessels, then what happens? That calcium ions which has been absorbed from that food by this microvilli will sent towards the blood, right? And that blood will pass throughout the body. So calcium is very helpful for the bones, right? So that blood will reach towards the bone, and that bone consists of calcium ions, so that the bones helps in absorbing that calcium ions, so that our bones will get very stiff. So next, enterocyte enzyme. this enterocyte enzyme is a enzyme which plays a major role in the functioning of the microvilli, and this enterocyte enzyme will get activated by enterokinase activator, and this enterokinase activator will be produced by succus entericus. Okay, and I will discuss about that later. So now let us see why digestion is very important for a human being as well as the organisms which live in the earth. So digestion is very important because your body needs nutrients from food and water, right? And normally if you take water as well as the food, then the nutrients will be absorbed by the microvilli, which I have said you before, from that which are present in the small intestine. So when that microvilli will absorb that nutrients from the food and drink fruit on the water, then what happens, immediately it will be sent towards the bloodstream, and nutrients which has been absorbed will lead to the formation of glucose, and the glucose helps in the doing work, right? So for the doing work only we need food, and that digestion process takes place by the food. Now discussing about the mechanism of the digestive system, this is very much important to remember here. See here, I am going to explain you about the mechanism of the absorption of proteins, fats as well as the carbohydrates. So firstly let us discuss about the digestion of proteins. So here normally we will take food from the mouth, and within the mouth the food will get mixed with saliva and forms bolus, right? And forms bolus, and that bolus which has been formed within the mouth will enter into the stomach with through the pharynx, right? And within the stomach what happens, we know that stomach consists of hydrochloric acid, right? And that food which has been entered into the stomach will be mixed with hydrochloric acid, and that food is called as chyme. It is partly digested acidic food, and that is called as chyme. And normally we know that HCl is present in the stomach, which I have said you here, and that HCl, the pH of that HCl is nearly 1.8. So it helps in the producing of pepsin and renin. So this pepsin and renin plays a major role in the digestion of the proteins. How? Let us see. So we know that prorenin and pepsinogen are proenzymes of gastric juices, right? And normally this prorenin and pepsinogen are inactive in form. To make them active, it will get reacted with hydrochloric acid. So this hydrochloric acid will get reacted with this prorenin and forms renin, which will get activated. So here this renin which has been formed as a product is in active form, and the hydrochloric acid will also get reacted with pepsinogen, which is in inactive form, and when it gets reacted with hydrochloric acid, then it forms pepsin, and this pepsin is active in form. And now this pepsin and renin which has been formed, which is in active form, will helps in converting that casein to calcium peracassinate, and that calcium peracassinate will get converted to peptones. And here renin is very useful for this conversion of casein to calcium peracassinate, and this pepsin is very important to convert this calcium peracassinate to peptones. And finally by this you can understand this, the proteins will get finally reduced to peptones, right? By the for example, if you take food which is very rich in proteins, in this way the digestion of the phenomenon of the digestion takes place within your stomach, where the proteins will get finally converted into peptones, and these peptones will be absorbed by the microvilli, and that microvilli will send that proteins towards the body, all parts of the body. And now discussing about the fats. These are the triglyceric acids of different fatty acids, and normally these fats will get digested with the help of an enzyme known as lipase. Normally this lipase will be secreted by the pancreatic fluids. Normally this lipase will be present in pancreatic fluids as well as the intestinal fluids also. So we know that the pancreatic fluids will be produced by the pancreas, and the intestinal fluids will be produced by the intestine. So we can say that this lipase will be produced by the pancreas as well as the intestine. And normally this is the triglyceric acid or as triglyceride, and this triglyceride will get converted to diglyceride with the help of an enzyme lipase, and this diglyceride will get converted to monoglyceride with the help of an enzyme known as lipase, right? And if you see here, this monoglyceride which will get converted again back into the fatty acids as well as the glycerol, and this fatty acids and glycerol which has been converted from the monoglyceride will be regulated by the enzyme known as lipase, and these fatty acids as well as the glycerol will be absorbed by the microvilli, and it will be sent towards the whole parts of the body. So let us see in the structure wise. So if you see here, this is the structure of the triglyceride, and here this is the acyl region. So there are three acyl regions, 1, 2, 3, R1, R2 and R3. There are three acyl regions, so hence it is called as triglyceride, and this will get reacted with lipase in such a way that one of the acyl region will be removed. So when that acyl region will be removed, then it forms diglyceride. So here this is the diglyceride where one of the acyl region has been removed, so only two acyl regions are present, hence it is named as diglyceride. So now another acyl region will be removed out with the help of an enzyme known as again lipase, and then what happens, it forms monoglyceride. And here monoglyceride is nothing but it consists of only one SL group or SL region, because another SL group will also be removed out. And now this monoglyceride will again reacted with lipase and forms glycerol here, because there will be no SL group which will be present in either any of the carbon, right? So here it forms glycerol, and this glycerol which has been formed will be absorbed by the microvilli, and that microvilli will enter into the bloodstream, and the total nutrients will be passed throughout the body parts. Now discussing about the carbohydrates, digestion of the carbohydrates. Normally these carbohydrates will get reduced into maltose, sucrose as well as the lactose, and the enzyme which plays a major role in this conversion is amylase. And here this maltose, sucrose, lactose are the byproducts, right? And normally this maltose will get converted to two molecules of glucose with the help of an enzyme known as maltase. And now this sucrose will get converted into, normally here the enzyme plays a major role called sucrase as well as which is also known as invertase. So this sucrose will convert one molecule of glucose and then one molecule of fructose. Now this lactose will get converted to one molecule of glucose and one molecule of galactose with the help of an enzyme known as lactase. Okay, in this way the carbohydrates will get reduced. So coming to the next one, what are the parts involved in the digestive system, and each of the part which will be involved in the digestive system will be explained briefly in this. Okay, so normally I have explained you about the GI tract. So what is meant by GI tract? I have said you in the beginning itself, right? Gastrointestinal tract, which is also called as digestive tract. It begins from the mouth towards the anus, and in this only the digestive system will also be involved. And what are the parts involved between this mouth and anus? Let us see now. First one is teeth, and this teeth is ectomesodermal in origin, and it is thecodont. Why I have said you thecodont? Because the teeth of the human beings will be embedded in the sockets, and it will be present in the jawbones. Hence that phenomena is said to be as thecodont. So we can say that the teeth are thecodont in origin. And next, normally there are two sets of teeth. They are called milk teeth as well as the adult teeth. And normally when the person will get developed from the smallest to the adult stage, then this milk teeth will be established and the milk teeth will be removed and the adult teeth will be developed. And this milk teeth is also called as temporary teeth, or it is also called as deciduous teeth. And here in the word itself it indicates these milk teeth are very temporary, where when it reaches to the age of 9 or 10, this milk teeth will be removed and then adult teeth will be developed. Hence these adult teeth are also called as permanent teeth. Okay, so normally we know that normally in adult there are 32 permanent teeth, right? And this permanent teeth consists of 4 types of teeth: incisors, canines, premolars and molars, where incisors are denoted with I, canines will be denoted with C, premolars will be denoted with PM, and molars will be finally denoted with M. And this phenomena which exhibits is said to be as diffident dentition. That's nothing but the removal of milk teeth at the age of 8 to 10, and development of the adult teeth is said to be as diffident dentition. That phenomena of dentition is said to be as diffident dentition. So this is about the teeth. So now coming to the tongue. So we know that tongue is freely movable muscular organ, and it is also called as sense organ because it plays a major role in sensing the taste, right? And normally this tongue consists of small projections on the surface of the tongue called as papillae, and these papillae are of 3 types: fungiform papillae, filiform and circumvallate papillae. Okay, these are the 3 types of papillae which will be present on the surface of the tongue. So normally discussing about this fungiform papillae, this fungiform papillae is present at the anterior region, that is nothing but at the tip region of the tongue, surface of the tongue. And next this filiform will be present at the beside the surface of the tongue, and next this circumvallate papillae will be present at the posterior surface of the tongue here. So this blue color one which I have drawn are known as fungiform papillae, and this red color one which I have drawn are known as filiform papillae, and this green color dots which I have drawn are known as circumvallate papillae. So this is about the tongue, and normally here will be the epiglottis and here will be the tonsils, and normally when these tonsils will get big, then immediately operation takes place. So coming to the pharynx, normally we know that our oral cavity will lead to this short pharynx, right? And this pharynx will act as a common passage for food as well as the air, and we know that the food which will enter into this pharynx will enter into the stomach, and also the air which enters into the pharynx will make them to enter into the lungs, right? So this pharynx acts as a common passage, and this common passage will be regulated by epiglottis. This will only control the food, this will only control the entry of food into the stomach and as well as the entry of air into the lungs. Okay, and this is about the pharynx. Coming to the esophagus, normally this esophagus is thin long tube which extends posteriorly. Okay, and here this pass through the neck, thorax as well as the diaphragm also, and if you see here, it reaches up to the stomach. So from the neck to the stomach, this esophagus will be present, and normally this regulation of this esophagus will be takes place by this gastroesophageal sphincter. Coming to the stomach, normally the stomach is wide muscular bag, and normally this stomach, it is a J-shaped, or else it is also called as a C-shaped, and it is a distensible muscular bag, and normally it is located in the upper left portion of the abdominal cavity, and it is just below the diaphragm. It is present just below the diaphragm, and normally there are three main parts here: anterior cardiac portion, middle fundic portion, and posterior pyloric portion. And here, anterior cardiac portion, normally this anterior cardiac portion will helps in the entry of food from the esophagus. Okay, this middle fundic portion helps in the storage of the food, and next this C, that's something about posterior pyloric portion, will make the entry of food into the intestine, and that entry of food into the intestine will be regulated by the pyloric sphincter. Next, coming to the next one, intestine. I have explained you in the beginning video itself about small intestine as well as the large intestine, where 10% of digestion of the food takes place in the large intestine, where it consists of colon. And what is the main function of this colon? It mainly helps in the absorption of the food from the waste, and that waste will be produced by the small intestine. So the food which is present in the small intestine will enter into the large intestine, and here the microvilli will be present, and each and everything I explained in the beginning of the video itself. So coming to the digestive glands, and here these digestive glands mainly helps in the secretion of fluids, and normally these digestive glands are of three types: salivary glands, gastric glands, and intestinal glands. Normally these salivary glands are of three pairs. They are parotid glands, submandibular glands, and sublingual glands. Normally these parotid glands are just present in the inner surface of the cheeks, and next, coming to the submandibular glands, these submandibular glands are also called as submaxillary glands, and these are present at the angles of the lower jaw. And next, these sublingual glands. Now these sublingual glands are just present below the tongue. So this is about the salivary glands. So coming to the gastric glands, these gastric glands are present at the wall of the stomach. At the walls of the stomach, these gastric glands will be present, and this will be of three types. They are cardiac glands, pyloric glands, and fundic glands. And normally these cardiac glands helps in the secretion of mucus. And what is the main function of that mucus is it helps for the protection of for example, if you intake the food along with some dust particles, and this stomach will be protected with the dust particles which will enter into the stomach with the help of that mucus only, which will be secreted by these cardiac glands. And next, coming to the pyloric glands, this also secretes mucus, as well as it also secretes the hormone known as gastrin. Okay, and next, this normally the gastrin hormone will helps in the regulation of the gastric juices. And next, fundic gland. Normally these fundic glands are consists of three cells. They are neck cells, peptic cells, oxyntic cells. Neck cells will also help in the secretion of mucus. Normally these peptic cells are also called as chief cells, and this will secrete pepsinogen and prorenin, which I have explained you in the mechanism of the digestive system, right? And next, these oxyntic cells are also called as parietal cells, and this helps in the production of hydrochloric acid. And next, coming to the intestinal glands. Normally these intestinal glands are of two types. They are Bernard's glands and crypts of Leberkan. Normally this together helps in the secretion of intestinal juice as well as the succus entericus. Okay, normally the succus entericus helps in the secretion of these enzymes called peptidase, disaccharides, intestinal lipase, and enterokinase activator. So you know about the peptides, right? Peptides are nothing but like tripeptides, dipeptides, aminopeptides, and here disaccharides are nothing but sucrase, which I also said to be as invertase, which I explained you in the previously itself. Wait a second. Here I explained you that sucrase or invertase, right, which helps in the conversion of sucrose to 1 molecule of glucose and 1 molecule of fructose, and that regulation will be takes place by the succus entericus only in the form of disaccharides, right? And normally there will be intestinal lipase, and only this intestinal lipase will be regulated only in the small amount. And this enterokinase activator, which I have said you before itself, normally this enterokinase activator really helps in regulation of enterocyte enzyme, which I explained you in the microvilli at the beginning, right? So this enterokinase activator will be produced by this succus entericus only, thus too from intestinal glands. So this is about the glands which will be present in the digestive system, which plays a major role in the digestive system. And now let us see the diagram. So this is the diagram of digestive system, and it consists of parts called pharynx, oral cavity, tongue, salivary gland. So sublingual gland, salivary gland here. This is the salivary gland, okay, and this is submandibular gland, and here this is the cervical part, this is the thoracic part, and this is the abdomen part. These three parts, cervical part, thoracic part and abdomen part, together constitutes esophagus, to form esophagus. And next, this is called diaphragm, and this is called liver, and this is called gallbladder. Here this is known as gallbladder, and this is the stomach, where food from the pharynx will enter into the stomach. Okay, and from the stomach it enters up to the duodenum and it opens to the small intestine. And here this is the duodenum, and this is the jejunum, and here is the ileum, and these three parts together constitutes to form small intestine. And here normally when this food will get digested in the small intestine with the help of microvilli, then the waste material will be produced, and that waste material will enter into the large intestine. So this whole part is said to be as large intestine. Here this colon, it consists of colon, and that colon, what is the main function of that colon? It helps in the digestion of remaining 10% of the absorbing the 10% of water from the waste material which will be sent from the small intestine, and that waste material will be sent out through anus, through anal canal as well as the rectum. So the food will be digested, and the waste material, which is called as feces, will enter into the rectum, and from the rectum it enters into the anal canal, and from the anal canal it enters into the anus. And next, here is the appendix, and here this appendix doesn't place any major role in the digestive system, but if once this appendix gets affected, then it causes a severe case. In some cases the person may also lead to death. So this is about the digestive system. Hope you like this video, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and if you have any doubts regarding this video, please comment in the comment box. And for the notes of this video, you can also join us in WhatsApp group, and the invite link will be given in the description box. Thank you.